Thank you, Pieter.
Thanks, Shana.
Sorry, before I hand over to you, I've done the wrong thing. As you can all see on the slide that's in front of you, let people know that you're here tonight. You can see we've got facebook.com/Women of Stature SA and facebook.com/Shadowmatch Global. Please go and like the pages and share the pages, but let people know by hashtag Women of Stature and hashtag Shadowmatch that you're part of this exciting webinar here tonight. Thank you very much, everyone, and over to you, Pieter.
Thanks, Shana, and good day. Hello to everybody around the world. Shana, can you just confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Good. I know that we have friends of Women of Stature in the USA and all over the world, the United Kingdom, and also friends of Shadowmatch and associates of Shadowmatch all over the world that joined us. Welcome. From my side, thank you very much, Shana, for the kind words. And it always makes it tough, you know, once you've been introduced, to then live up to the expectation. But I think everybody will understand that the introduction is sometimes more than what they might get. But let's just keep it on a humble note. But thank you very much. You are the best. You're a star. And as you said, we've known each other for many years, and we've done a lot of things together. And it was also from my side always very nice and a privilege to work with you. And then just to all the people from Women of Stature and making this possible as a platform, obviously their service to us and the way they organized everything was very professional. And I just want to thank them and everybody around the table and in this webinar also for their attendance. It's all to the work that's been done by the people behind the scenes at Women of Stature. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's start with where we are in terms of our work and what we want to do. I just want to get myself to the next slide. We're going to talk about Industry 4, and for some of you, it might not be something that we are very aware of, but it's the talk in business for the last 10, 12, 14, 15 months about this shift that we experience currently in the world of business and work and careers and everything that is associated with it. So the question is, what exactly is Industry 4? There's a little bit of history that we need to understand. In 1865, round about in 1765, round about the 1760s, the first industrial revolution got into play and became a reality when the human mind discovered the power of steam. They made the steam engine, they started with coal mining, and they produced coal to power the steam engines. And what that brought is that we had access to energy that could do very powerful things. Ships and trains were built, and a lot of the industries around steam power and manufacturing even started to develop. And then about 100 years later, more or less 100 years later, in 1870, we discovered electricity and gas, as we know it, petrol or gasoline and oil. And suddenly we had additional access to energy, and we started to make motor cars and the engines that we have today to generate power. And we also then started to generate electricity. But the big breakthrough was then the telephone and communication that was not dependent on distance anymore. So we could speak to people over a long distance. And a lot of growth came as a result of the second industrial revolution, round about 1870. And then the third one, again, 100 years later, when we found the telecommunication system, as in the cellular industry and automated telephone systems, But the big breakthrough came when we started to build computers. And that was roughly mid-1965, 66, and up to 1970. But then this started to develop because we had computers. And then only 30 years later, the year should be 2000, when we brought computers and mechanical things and communication together, and that actually kicked off the fourth industrial revolution. So what is it? The fourth industrial revolution is where intelligent computer, remember the computers before the year 2000 were still relatively stupid. They could only do what we tell them. But suddenly from the year 2000 onwards, we built computers that are not stupid anymore. They can do things independently, and I'll show you some, I'll tell you about some of the examples. They could decide independently without any human input to change their minds and do something different. Let me give you an example. Let's say that a city is filled with self-driving cars. Those self-driving cars talk to one another via the Internet of Things, in other words, technology that talks to one another. And the self-driving cars decide that a certain road is dangerous. They decide it themselves. And they let every other car know, and they reroute. Every other car then reroute to optimize traffic flow and not to get into trouble, not to get in a bad patch, or there might be a car accident on the road. And then they notify each other, and they take the decision without any human intervention. So these are intelligent computers, and this is where the term intelligent or AI, intelligent automation, comes from. So it's about a system that can do what humans can do and decide to change their course of activity without humans telling them to do so. So this is what the fourth industrial revolution is about. It's the emerging power of computers to think. So they are smart and they can think. But what are the implications? And when is a business industry 4 ready? When their processes are not human dependent anymore. Now this is a big mind shift that we must get our minds around. When a company has reached a point where 80% of their capabilities are not human dependent, they are being regarded as an industry 4 business. Say for instance, we manufacture cars. We've got a manufacturing plant to manufacture cars. So if I can have 80% of my manufacturing free of any human, in other words, nobody working on the plant, everything is being done by automated systems and mechanical computer controlled systems, then my factory is an industry 4 factory. If you have a look at the Amazon warehouses, there's almost nobody working in those warehouses. It's a fully automated system with robots that they do the picking of deliveries. They take it to the delivery point, they load the trucks, etc., etc. They tag it, everything is being automated. So that's an industry 4 business. So what we have globally is that companies shift towards an industry 4 ready profile, and increasingly more capabilities are being automated. We can for instance look at the medical world and medical robots doing procedures on people. They remove anything from the body, tumors from the brain, tumors from the abdominal. They do knee operations, and these are done by robots. Currently, these robots are still being guided by people. Soon they won't. Within the next 3 to 5 years, the entire procedure will be handled by artificial intelligence systems. And now the question, ladies and gentlemen, is What is the impact of an Industry 4 world on the world of work and career planning? It's huge. And this is where our discussion actually starts. Remember, guys and girls, and what you can do is let us know if there is any job that you can currently think of or suddenly think of that cannot be automated. And if you capture that in the chat box, I might react to some of those, because what we see is that there are very few jobs that cannot be automated. I see somebody mentioning the work of a teacher. I have very bad news. The work of a teacher is very easy to automate. It's very easy. And you can even you can automate it to the level where the student can ask a question, and you can have your information platform integrated with a voice activated system, and they can answer the student. So if we think of pilots, in the very near future, aircraft will fly without a pilot. They can actually already do it. The problem is legislation do not allow us to do it. Self-driving cars are the same. Self-driving cars, what holds it back is not technology, it's legislation. Governments don't want to allow this. And think of the benefit of a self-driving car network. People with disabilities can suddenly move around freely. People that are visually impaired can suddenly have their own transport. So the benefits are huge. And the job impact, ladies and gentlemen, is massive. Because if you think of some job, any job, there might already be somebody working on the automation of that job. If you think of in the medical world, in the world of engineering, in the world of design, architecture, you can download a software application and draw a building and design a building without any knowledge, because the knowledge sits in the system, and the system will allow you to design certain things and not allow certain other things. So what happens is intelligent machines are moving into the workplace to do the work that people previously did. In the farming community, I've seen it firsthand, that a farmer has got big farming operation, and he's got a few people, 3 or 4, working for him, because his tractors are self-driving tractors. And the only thing that they need is people to watch out that they get diesel and they get all the stuff necessary to do the work. But the work is being done by machinery. So the impact on the workplace and career planning, ladies and gentlemen, is huge, because what will happen is, progressively, as we move into the world of Industry 4, jobs will be taken over by automated systems. And sometimes we think, but never my job. It's really not the case. We must ask ourselves, when will my job be automated? I want to share with you something that is a bit scary, but there are very good news within this whole package. And that is that the majority of big companies have call centers, customer service operations. Some of them have thousands of individuals behind telephone lines and a computer screen, so you can phone them, and we all know how this frustrates us. But that's the way in which they help their clients. So there are thousands of people, for instance, in a big bank or in the big cell phone companies, and you phone them and they then help you if you have a problem. Those operations are on the brink of being replaced by automated systems. And if a company doesn't know how to do it, it's actually very easy. It's very easy to just close those operations down, because you can actually automate that entire operation to be an automated platform. So the impact on careers and the place of work and the way in which we guide people towards a future career is huge. And my concern is that we still give advice from an advisory point of view through the school system and the official training platforms that we have and assessment platforms, that they do not take full consideration of what the moves and the difference will be in a world that is Industry 4 ready. To give you an example, to manufacture cars, or the manufacturing plants in high-end cars are automated, will be automated within the next 5 years, to the point where 95% of the manufacturing process of a car is fully automated. Nobody touches it. The car's being assembled on an automated production line. So what will happen to the people that are in those jobs? Well, this is where I actually ask the question, what drives an Industry 4 revolution? Only two things. There are only two things that became an obsession amongst business leaders and technology giants and intellectuals that design these things. And that is the one, to bring the cost down and to expand the reach of their products. Let me explain. If we have a cell phone that must be manufactured by people that get paid a salary, the cell phone, the normal 10,000 Rand or $1,000 cell phone for the USA will probably cost 100 times more if it has to be built by people. But the fact that these production lines are fully automated and Industry 4 enabled production lines make it possible to bring the price of a cell phone down, so that the second thing can happen. We can expand the reach of cell phones. So we can expand the cell phones to reach the hands of the average individual. So the two things that sits behind an Industry 4 a revolution is, we want to expand reach. In other words, we want to manufacture 1,000 times quicker and more efficient than if we would have to do it by hand and with people. And we want to make it 100 to 1,000 times cheaper compared to when we manufacture by hand. But in the process, ladies and gentlemen, we have a big challenge, because as the Industry 4 revolution brings automation into the workplace, people will be moving out of the workplace. And suddenly we see that people in the age group 45 to 65 still employed are being pushed out, so that either young people can be pushed into with an Industry 4 ready mindset, or they can be replaced by automated systems. And this will happen, this will be the drive of the next 10 to 20 years. And it'll change our world, because, and there are other changes, ladies and gentlemen, where we, for instance, see some of the companies do not assemble their products. They manufacture furniture, but they don't assemble it. They put it in a box, because who is going to assemble the furniture, the table or the chair that you buy? The client must put the thing together. So they manufacture up to the point where the automation can take them. From there on, they package it and they sell it. And the client must then do the rest of the manufacturing and the assembling process. So they actually employ the client to do some of the work that they should have been doing as the supplier of the product. But unfortunately, that's the future of production. And remember, two things sit behind Industry 4. One, cost of production and reach. They want to bring the cost of production down so that they can reach 100 to 1,000 times more people, and put technology in the hands of people that they previously would not be able to do because of the cost of manufacturing. They now have automated systems. But it's more than this, ladies and gentlemen. What we have on the picture on the bottom left of your screen is somebody lying on the bed and a vacuum cleaner working the floor. You can buy this vacuum cleaner tomorrow from any of the hardware stores, modern furniture stores, and they are cheap, they are efficient, they do 95 to 99% of the work. They clean the floors, they scan the floor, they walk around, and they work whenever they are being told to work. You set them up and they work. And then we have the lady in the car, which represents the future of self-driving cars. But there's a lot more than this. We have security systems with face recognition. I can set up my house with a face recognition system at the door. And if somebody that's not on my system as a recognized face would come to my front gate or my door, the system will not allow the person access. Buildings have face recognition. We see it in the developed world in shopping centers where they have face recognition. They know exactly who is in the shopping center, and they can then act according to what is necessary to manage the people. These are all Industry 4 capabilities where the systems are smart enough to do what humans had to do previously. Remember, face recognition is a very sophisticated artificial intelligence system where computers can recognize the face of an individual and even identify them. The question is, what happens to the world of work? Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are two views and schools of thought on this, and I will present both of them to you. The one is that the divide between the have and have-nots, the wealthy and the poor, will become bigger and bigger and bigger. And that unemployment will become the biggest challenge of the world going forward. This is what I would call the extreme negative view of the future of work. Yes, some people will be replaced by technology. There's no question. If you once we are done with our webinar this evening, you can actually Google truck drivers, the future of truck drivers in an Industry 4 world, because there's a lot of people working worldwide as truck drivers. And they live in fear, because if the self-driving trucks really come to the surface and being legislated, their jobs are at risk. And a lot of other jobs, there are a lot of jobs, and I don't want to go through the list. And you can, for instance, when I do training on our career coaching, I ask people, what job do you think cannot be automated? And then they've got all kinds of smart ideas. And then I say to them, Google that job and say automation of, with a job following that sentence. Automation of teachers, of lecturers, of medical doctors, of engineers, architects, whatever it is, whatever the job is. In the financial world, for instance, ladies and gentlemen, the automation of financial management systems is at a point where you don't really need anybody to do the financials of a business. We are on the edge of fully automated capabilities. So what will happen in the world of work is that the negative position that I've just mentioned is that there will be a huge divide between the poor and the rich. Wealthy people will become wealthier because they will feed off these automation manufacturing plants and capabilities. And poor people will become poorer because they will become unemployable because machines will be able to do the work that they've been doing. So that's the negative perspective. But there's a neutral perspective, and then the positive one. The neutral perspective is people are wonderful. They will always find a way around this. They will always find a way to create a space where they can work and live a meaningful life despite the challenges of technology, artificial intelligence system, and automation of workplaces. That's a good point of view. I like that. I like that too. You know, I always like the idea that people are smart. And I think it's true. I think people are smart enough to work around this thing. But then there's the positive position. And that's the position that I prefer to take. Sorry for that. The positive position is that a lot of jobs will be created. And that's a fact. That's a fact. A lot of jobs will be created. But the jobs will be different. And the jobs will ask for us different skills. We will have to reskill ourselves. Our children must learn other skills. Our children must be trained, and they must go into training with a different mindset. And this is important because I'm in the process of building an Industry 4 capable career coaching platform, where the career coaching is an automated process. I'm actually very far down the line, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'm about 75% there, it's live. So what will happen is a lot of new jobs will be created. And these new jobs will expand going into the future. There will be opportunities that we haven't dreamed of. I want to mention just a few of these careers. 5 years ago, a drone pilot was a child that had an idea of one day becoming a real pilot and flying a drone in the backyard of his parents' home and smash it against the garage door. Suddenly, ladies and gentlemen, drones are professional machines. They are being used for photography. They are being used to fly into dangerous places, fly through smoke, fly into buildings where there's a poison gas. They are being used in agriculture to spray a crop. And suddenly there's a new career, and that is the career of a professional drone pilot. So, but it's a different skill. It's a different workplace. It's different. The training is vastly different because there are different legislation that we didn't have in the past. The same with 3D printing. 3D printing will change our world because you can print a set of sunglasses at home. You can print prescription glasses with your 3D printer and have your eye test done with your cell phone. And this is happening as we speak. We don't have to wait for tomorrow. We can do an eye test on a cell phone app and print prescription glasses with a 3D printer. So these things, but suddenly there's a new career, and that is a 3D printing technician. Somebody who really understands how 3D printers work, how to set them up, how to manage them, and how to optimize their production and their performance. So the positive position to take, and that which I prefer, is yes, some jobs will disappear. You know, when I was a youngster, I worked at one of these semi-government institutions, and we had a room full of typists. There were about 100 of them. So if you write a letter, it goes into your outbox for the typing, and then it comes back typed by the typist, and the name of the typist in a code at the bottom of the page. They're gone. They're gone. And a lot of these will happen. Call centers will run dry within the next 5 years. The position of teachers with this whole automation and the distance learning and homeschooling and automated teaching platforms will also change radically. There will be, but there will be new opportunities. There will be coaches, mathematics coaches and language coaches that will help the children on a face-to-face level, but it won't be the traditional teacher. So a lot of these things will shift, but new opportunities will start to develop and people will take up these new opportunities. So I'm on the side. Remember, there's the negative side. Jobs will disappear. We will have huge unemployment and the world will become an ungovernable place because of poverty and unemployment. I'm not there. I'm in the middle where we say, no, people are smart. We will find a way around this. And I'm there and I'm on the positive side, where I'm convinced that more jobs will be created than what we will lose, but the jobs will be different. And my concern is that unless we see this happening, we might be caught out of pace with this new development, and our children, our young people might be caught out of pace with this development, prepare themselves for a career that might in the next 5 years have no space of existence anymore. And this is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen, without a doubt it'll happen, because we are not on top of this move into an Industry 4 enabled world. So how should we approach this new reality? Well, the first thing, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm not an advocate of reaction with fear or with a negative spirit. I have never seen problems being solved within a negative mindset. I take a positive approach to this. I think what we must do is, and this is very practical, and if you don't have a pen with you, maybe it's a good idea to grab a pen now and to start making some notes, because now I'm going to try and become very practical. We have just seen in the last 3 months what this virus did to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, people with very secure positions, very secure, suddenly just lost their careers, not their jobs, not their position, their careers. I've spoken to many people because I'm in this research world where people say, my job has come to an end. You know that the number of pilots that are out of work, the number is scary. When will they go back to work again? Probably in the year 2022. By then, ladies and gentlemen, what happened to their skills? What happened to the currency, their licenses, their pilot's licenses? It lapsed. They haven't done any flying. They reckon that by January 2021, only 20% of the pilots that are currently unemployed will be back in the air. And now we can carry on with these examples. So the challenge that we have is, how do we approach this new world? A world, ladies and gentlemen, where somebody can have a job today and be out of it tomorrow. And by next week, an entire career can disappear. So how do we deal with this? The first thing, ladies and gentlemen, you must have a plan B. Plan A is my mainstream career. Plan B is a glorified hobby, something on the sideline that is alive, it's ticking, it's working, and I can push that into a sustainable income anytime when I need it. We can no longer live our lives without a plan B. It could be a small production plant where you manufacture masks or jackets or clothing. It could be leather handwork. It could be a garden where you produce vegetables. It can be photography where you have a good camera and you keep it alive and you have friends and you have a social network, and they know that you take good photos and you are in this, and you can turn this into a productive engine anytime when you need it. You might have mathematical skills. Start teaching children maths. You might be an ex-English teacher. Start teaching children English. 1 child, 2, 3. Start doing something on the sideline, because the world has changed so radically that you don't want to run out of a career without that. So the first thing that we need to teach one another, and that we need to emphasize when we give advice to people, is you must have a plan B. And the plan B, ladies and gentlemen, don't have to be a major thing, but it must be there. You must be able to activate this at any point in time to create an alternative income stream. Then for plan A, ladies and gentlemen, in the world of Industry 4, there will only be 4 workspaces in the primary economy. The first one, and listen carefully to this, and if you've got your career report from Shadow Match because you qualified for it during this process, the first is, and it's well described in the career map that I've built, is the people that will design the automated systems. We refer to them as the system designers. These people will be those individuals who sit behind the scenes, and they design the manufacturing plant that Mercedes, BMW, Chrysler, Volkswagen will use to automate their manufacturing lines. So these are engineers. They have high-level skills in mathematics and statistics, and they are data specialists, so they can work with data and interpret data. And obviously, they understand electronic and artificial intelligence control systems, but they will work as system designers. The second, remember there are 4. The second category of people are those individuals that will make the technology work. So they will take the technology and put it into operation. They will fly the drones. They will work in a hospital with a medical equipment that is sophisticated to do specific things. They will work with a technology that of self-driving cars, to commission those cars and to fix them when they have a breakdown or a software problem or whatever it is. So we call these people the technology enablers. They will make the technology work. But obviously, ladies and gentlemen, these will be highly skilled people. They will understand the technology that they work with, and they will be very well trained. And in some instances, they will have registration certificates to prove that they are within the safety calibration of their jobs. So first, the guys behind the scenes that design the systems. Second, the guys on the floor that will make these automated systems work and keep them working. And then the third group, ladies and gentlemen, will be those individuals in the mainstream economy that work in a space where technology cannot replace them. That's it. They cannot be replaced. A lawyer fighting in a high court for their client on some criminal case or some whatever happens will not be replaced. Well, I don't see that happening very soon. Maybe I'm out of touch. But a child care person who does preschool child care, I cannot see that will be automated. And there are a lot of these jobs, police officers, and research people doing medical research. For instance, all these individuals that currently work to find a vaccine for the coronavirus, that research will not be replaced by technology. Yeah, technology will play a big role in it, but the thinking and the innovation in that space, we are not close to automation of those people. people in the wildlife and conservation industry will not easily be replaced. So that's category number 4. Number 3, these are individuals who work in a space where technology cannot replace them. Technology is either not smart enough, not intelligent enough, they don't have the innovation, or they don't have the ability to integrate information the way the human brain can do it. So that's the 3rd space, and we call them functional enablers. I'll give you a summary when I'm done with number 4. Number 4 on the list, ladies and gentlemen, is the work of the artists. There's a big future for artistic people in an Industry 4 world. But you must think of an artist not as somebody that makes a living out of drawing pencil pictures of faces. That's not what we're talking. We're talking about professional people that will design advertising campaigns, that will design websites, that will make websites very artistically friendly and appealing and nice, but also make it easy to work with. These are all related to the work of the artist. They will do the marketing campaign. They will do the training material to train the medical doctor to work with a modern technology. They will design the content of teaching and lecturing. All these things will sit in the artistic space. But more than this, ladies and gentlemen, the look and feel of the modern building, what the building and the workplace of the future must look like. So these are all related to the work of artists, and that could be many things. It could even be the artistic work with language, to write properly and to create language content and material that is easy for the reader to understand, so that we have a well-informed reader. So we have 4 work categories or workspaces defined in Industry 4. I'll repeat them for you. 1, the system designers. They sit behind the scene and they build these automated capabilities. They will build the computers. They will design the control systems to open the gate when somebody's face is being recognized as an employee, and to hold the gate closed when somebody would approach the gate that is not an employee. And then to ask, do you have an appointment? And then check the diary, all automated. And then you confirm, yes, this person has an appointment with me. And then they allow that. The system then allows that. So they will design those systems. Second, the technology enablers. They will make the technology work in the practical real world. They will deliver and commission the technology. The third group is the functional enabler. He or she will work in a space where computers just cannot do the job. They're either too stupid, they don't have the innovation, or they don't have the emotional sense of a human to take care of people. For instance, the caretaking and the hospitality industry and those jobs, and as I've mentioned, the work of lawyers, etc., etc. And then the fourth group is the space where artists will work. And that's a very broad space, ladies and gentlemen. We must not narrow that down to somebody drawing a few pencil pictures and make a living out of that. That's much more than that. It's a professional career. Now, these will be the mainstream careers. But then, ladies and gentlemen, what will happen to the rest? They will fall out into substream employment, and that will mostly be self-employment. So let me just explain what is a mainstream career and a substream career. A mainstream career is I work in the big engine of the world economy. So I work in the big engine of manufacturing or logistics or banking or financial services, or in legal practice in law, or in the artistic design of big websites and marketing campaigns and content, training content. So mainstream careers are those individuals who will work in the big engines of the world economy. Substream careers, ladies and gentlemen, is where I have a small operation that provides enough for my living. I will never become a wealthy person, but I will make a living. For instance, I have a coffee shop on the corner and I have a very unique service offering, and hope coronavirus doesn't close my coffee shop. But I have a coffee shop, and that coffee shop won't make me a wealthy person, but it'll give me a decent living. So these are substream economies where a lot of the people will find a meaningful way of making a living. I have a laundry. It's a small little business. I have a client base. I provide a service to my clients, and I work hard every day, and I produce the service to my clients by giving my energy and my time and my effort. So these are substream economies. So my advice to people is that we must try and get ourselves into the substream economy as a sideline if we are in the main economy of the world. If we are in the main process, the mainstream economy of the big engines of the world, we must have, because anytime these big engines can just switch a section off, and thousands of jobs are just being cut. I spoke to somebody, ladies and gentlemen, allow me 1 minute to just tell you a horrible story. He's in mining. He's a mining engineer. And he said the average mine in their mining group employs between 4,000 and 5,000 people, mine workers. The new mines that they open will produce more than the old mines, and they will only employ 50 people, 50, only 50, instead of 5,000. How do they do the job? All automated machinery underground. There's not one human body underground, it's all machinery. I was shocked, ladies and gentlemen, and I said to him, so what are you going to do with the old mines? He smiled, he said to me, we're going to close them down, can't afford them anymore. So this is where we are moving. So as a big machine, a big mining industry can suddenly just change the direction as a result of Industry 4 capabilities, and thousands of jobs could move out of the mainstream economy, and they must then find their way into the substreams of the surviving economy. And my advice to people, ladies and gentlemen, is if you are in the mainstream economy, keep your eye on a substream that you might need if something strange happens, because it will and it can. If you are already in a substream, ladies and gentlemen, with a small little business, a small initiative that provides in your own income to make a living for yourself and your family, be very aware of the fact that these substreams can also suddenly be under threat as a result of global changes, global sentiments, but also as a result of automation and the work that's being done by the Industry 4 revolutionaries. So they might make your service redundant, automate the process, and make it so cheap and reach people that currently are your clients. But have your eye on a second substream, have a plan B. So plan A is your main income, plan B is a sub-income that you can suddenly and easily get onto. So where do we start? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am of opinion that we must have a plan. Every individual must have a career plan. If we don't have a career plan with a goal, we will probably reach exactly that. We won't reach a goal. So we start, my advice, ladies and gentlemen, is that every individual must have a 5-year plan. There's no doubt about it. You must have a plan. And you must, if you can afford it in any way, get somebody to be a partner to help you fulfill that plan. A career coach, a life coach, and I'm not in the process of trying to promote anything, but it could be a friend. It doesn't have to be a paid professional life coach. It could be a friend. It could be somebody that you trust, an employer, a previous boss, a business owner, somebody that you've known for many years. But get somebody that takes a positive interest in your success and in your future, that could help you think in a very, very productive manner about making your plan work. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I seriously get stressed up when I think about so many people working as if there will never be an end to that career and that job. And with this coronavirus, we've seen what happens to people if the world suddenly changes. Obviously, this is a crisis, it's a pandemic. But it's been happening all the time, ladies and gentlemen. It's been happening all the time where governments change legislation and jobs are just being destroyed in their millions because of a change in legislation. In South Africa, for instance, we had this example of a change in the gun law and gun ownership and firearm ownership. And all the gun shops, they almost closed all of them down. And there were thousands in South Africa in the hunting community. And just the change of law in one instance just killed businesses that were people's livelihoods. So what we must understand, ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world that is very unpredictable and things can change radically and very suddenly. So we start with, I must have a career plan. I must have a future plan. I must have a plan B. If my plan A, main income, gives me a good income, I must have a plan B in place that I can pick up and make it work the moment I run into trouble with plan A. And I must keep plan B alive. I must have somebody to give me advice and to think with me, because, ladies and gentlemen, the world has become such a complicated place and such a complex place to find our ways that it's very difficult for an individual to independently find his way through all these possibilities that the world currently present to us. So we must have somebody walking with us. And then obviously, ladies and gentlemen, if you are young, under the age of 35, 40, you must skill yourself for an Industry 4 world. You must get yourself on top of the computer machinery and technology, artificial intelligence, programming, software development, technology that you can use, that you can deploy and know the technology very well. But you must be able to work either as a system designer or a technology enabler, making the technology work, or a functional designer working there where technology can't work, or to promote yourself as a professional industrial artist. So you must skill yourself for the Industry 4 world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you must keep in mind that there are millions of people in the world that are not in a space that are trainable for this. It's sad. So they will have to move out into the side stream economies, out of the mainstream into side stream, small businesses that would just produce enough for them to at least make a decent living. And that will happen. So a lot of people will be pushed into side stream micro economies where they can make a living. For young people, ladies and gentlemen, one of the questions that I get quite often when I present these talks is, what is the advice for a youngster? You must have mathematics as a final year subject, and you must do everything you can to make it work. Second thing, you must have science as a final high school subject, and computer science and programming. These are the 4 knowledge faculties that are being sought after in the industry for economy, ladies and gentlemen. The rest are pretty much easy to automate. So what we must understand, ladies and gentlemen, that planning your personal career and the career of your loved ones, especially your children, is a primary function for success going into the future. And this brings me to one of our last points, and that is the psychology of a career. I don't want to talk too long and too much about this, ladies and gentlemen, for the simple reason this is for me a very, very sensitive topic. To be a healthy human being, we must have 4 of the big structures in our lives in place. 1, our relationships must work. 2, our living space and the place where we live our lives, our houses, must be the place where I feel comfortable, relaxed, fulfilled, and I must enjoy my living space. Number 3, my physical health, my body, my biology must be in a good condition, and I must look after it properly. Number 4 is my career must work. If one of these 4 components of our lives collapse, we are in big trouble, ladies and gentlemen. If our relationships, the place where we stay, our bodies, our health, or our careers are under threat, we are in big trouble. So the psychology of a career, the role that a career plays in our psychology is, we cannot comprehend the importance of this, ladies and gentlemen. And you can see it when people lose their jobs. They are in deep trouble. So my career gives me identity. It gives me security. It gives me a framework of a network of associations. It gives me the opportunity to engage my world in a productive and a fulfilling manner. And above everything, ladies and gentlemen, the career that I follow is the foundation of my well-being and the well-being of the people that I am responsible for, be it my family, my children, or whoever it is that I'm responsible for. That cannot be underestimated. Then, ladies and gentlemen, what is the best general approach to take? We call it agility. We call this the single most important thing is to be agile. With agility, ladies and gentlemen, it's such a rich word. We mean we must be able to read our environment, to see the early signals and to react on it, and to react in a positive way on the changes that we see in the world. Agility is that ability to act immediately towards a positive outcome when we see the early signs and signals in the market that things are no longer going according to plan. And the only way to be agile and to be able to adapt is that you must be very well informed. You must be a student, keep on learning, upskill yourself continuously, and be in such a framework of awareness that you can move around without the risk of being trapped in a situation where you move, but it's too late. So, ladies and gentlemen, what now? The obvious question is, what now? I think what we need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is we need to create networks like this one, and that's why I have such an appreciation for Women of Stature for creating this platform, so that we can create networks and in this way help each other to deal with this world of change. Let me just share with you, we must be able to cope with this. So what we will offer you is, I've built a system It's called Shadow Match. You can have a look at it, shadowmatch.com. It maps our behavioral patterns. Every one of you will receive a Shadow Match link to do the worksheet. We call it a worksheet so that the system can map out your behavioral patterns or your habits. And that's for free. Then we give it to you. You have it. We'll send you the code on Monday. And once you get the code in your inbox, you can do Shadow Match. You get your intro report. You get access to your personal portal. And from there on, you can do a lot of things. Then you can buy your full report. And the price of the full reports all depends on which country you are in. And we use the big McDonald's exchange rate calculator, ladies and gentlemen. So you buy your full report. And then you can attend one of my free webinars in order to help you to deal and to cope with a changing world. Because the mechanisms that we use to cope, ladies and gentlemen, is embedded in our habits. Our habits are the most reliable neuron patterns that we have. And our habits provides us the individually unique capabilities to deal with stress, with discomfort in a changing world. So I will run a webinar and the date will be announced. And just remember, for those of you who have rewards, those rewards will expire on Monday morning at 9. So if you have a reward to do Shadow Match, do it before then because your reward will expire on Monday morning. But for the rest of you, ladies and gentlemen, during the day of Monday, you'll get a free Shadow Match code. Do the worksheet, and from there on, if you want to join the how to cope webinar that I will present in terms of using our habits, then obviously you will sign up by buying your full habit or your full feedback report on your portal. Then, ladies and gentlemen, there is a second offering that we have, and that is that also you will receive your code on Monday. It's the same code. We just use one engine. We want your habits. We want the profile of your habits. And then you buy your career report. That's a different report. There's a full feedback report. And then there's a career report, a Shadow Match career report. You buy your career report. You join for free a webinar that I will present to help you build a 5-year plan for your career going into the future, taking into consideration that we are in the face or in the midst of an Industry 4 revolution. So those are the two offerings, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope to see you soon in one of our webinars where I will help you either to cope with the challenges of a changing world or help you build a career that is unique to your habits and your profile of behavior so that you can plan properly for the future of work and the future career, given the realities that our world has changed. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it's the end of my story. I think I'm back to the main presenter. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your participation. We will do questions and answers, but I think for now, just back to the host.
Thank you, Pieter. I'm going to have the opportunity, like I said in the introduction, to introduce Pieter's beautiful wife and business partner, Pieter de Villiers. Lizette has been screening your questions and sorting them into themes. So Lizette, can I ask you to put on your video and audio and join us for the Q&A?
Yes, thank you very much, Shona. I'm sure everybody can hear me. Maybe just the thumbs up, Shona. Can you hear me? That's
yes,
great.
Perfectly.
Thanks, Pieter. I've tried to make a summary of some of the comments as well as the questions. Maybe just the first comment. There were a lot of people that posted jobs that they think that might not be able to go into automation, and I think you've answered most of those jobs throughout the course of the discussion, especially when you mentioned the 4 categories. So I think most of those were answered. I'm not going to go through the entire list. And then I picked up some fear as well as some negativity from some of the participants, which is completely normal. And I think the important thing is, guys, that this is like trying to stop a tsunami with a skateboard. Industry 4 is here. The most important thing to realize is, as Pieter said, that you need to change and go with the times. And a lot of the technology, as some of you noted in the chat, is definitely in early phases and very frustrating. but it's emerging quite quickly. And I think a lot of us can make a whole list of things that we've dealt with in the past few months that has, just because of coronavirus, already emerged and developed to an extent where it's much better than it was before. Zoom, for example, did a lot of things just to keep hackers out of the system when there's a virtual meeting. And then there was a specific question, Peter. Somebody noted that you said the lower cost of production and the wider reach are the two main things that drives Industry 4. Would you say that this is ultimately because of a motive to drive higher profits, or what would you say is the reason for this driving costs down and making a wider reach? Is it just profits, or what else?
Yeah, Lisette, it's a very difficult question because it actually hits the heart of the developer. Remember that if I'm going to give you an example. If you take a cell phone, for instance, the cost of manufacturing a cell phone could come down to as low as $5. So the rest are profits up to, US dollars. That's in South African rands. Let's call it about 75, 80 rand. But the $1,000 that they get for it is all being taken up by role players in the supply chain. It's very difficult to call whether they see this as a profit initiative or just a humanity, an interest in the best of humanity. But what manufacturers want to do is the time of trying to manufacture one computer and sell it to one person and make $1,000 or 1,000 rand profit on it it's an Industry 2 mindset, not even Industry 3. The modern mindset is, I don't want to make 1,000 rand or $1,000 on a laptop. I want to sell 1 million laptops and make $1 on each. And for that, but obviously, it's a big profit drive. And that is why the negative approach to this is that the wealthy will become wealthier. Now, guys and girls, I just want to mention something. Just Google what is the net worth of Facebook, for instance. And Facebook, the majority of shares in Facebook is in the hands of one individual. Google that, it's public knowledge. And then you will see that there's a big wealth creation capability in these big tech companies, but it changes the life of people on the ground. The ordinary individual can suddenly have a cell phone, something that would not have been possible if these big manufacturing companies were not able to automate it. So I think it's both. I think it changes lives of ordinary people, especially on the level of medicine and technology and learning and making information available. But there's a big profit drive, and we cannot escape that argument. There is a huge profit drive, and we won't be able to change it. It's not going to go away.
Great, thanks, Peter. There's just, I think the last two questions that I'll combine into one. I think you've answered it mostly, but maybe you can just comment a bit. Obviously, you said that you need to have a plan B and get yourself ready for not the mainstream, but maybe something in the side stream or in the smaller economy. What if you are an older person, and I'm saying this carefully, over the age of 50, which is still very young, but in the minds of the young people, it's older already. You don't have any Industry 4 skills. And you don't have enough money. You know that you are very healthy and you're gonna live a long life, and you know that you have to retire in the current company where you work at the age of 60. You currently don't have any Industry 4 skills. So what practical advice would you have for someone to say, how do you get yourself ready if in maybe not even 5 years or 10 years from now, but maybe even in 2 years from now, you are at a retirement age and you've all your life worked in a big corporate, and you don't really have a plan B now? What would your advice be with regards to something practical to get that plan B going?
Yeah, let's say just a few comments on an introduction level. People above the age of 50, if they want to retire, just listen to the numbers, guys and girls, around the globe, wherever you are, and make a mental or a physical note of this. If you are above the age of 50, you must have 40 times your last annual salary in terms of assets to live a meaningful life. Because remember, medical science make it possible for me to become 100 years old. And despite the fact that you overestimate me, I'm only 35 now, but that's not the point. Remember, we are all of us around this table, ladies and gentlemen, our life expectancy is 100. So you can become 100 years because medical science has improved to such a level that we fight most diseases very successfully. So we can all become 100. Now run the numbers. Let's say you retire at the age of 60. You've started working at the age of 20. You have worked for 40 years. You have 40 years left. So our financial models are not built to help to sustain people for the life expectancy that we currently experience. In the sophisticated world amongst healthy people, ladies and gentlemen, the life expectancy of people extends into possible within the next 10 years to be an average of above 100. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, what if I'm above 50 and I am not in the mainstream industry for capabilities? Remember, there are 4 job categories. I'm a system designer. In other words, I'm an engineer behind the scene building these systems. Secondly, I'm a technical enabler. I make these technologies work. Number 3 and 4, I'm a functional enabler. Start a business, ladies and gentlemen, where the work you do cannot be done by a computer. Start with food. Start with a building project. Start with manufacturing of clothes. Start teaching people skills that cannot be taught other than by a human being. Start with an initiative like this Women of Stature initiative, for instance. It's a wonderful 4th Industrial Revolution initiative, and well done to them. Well done to them. Because this is the way the 4th Industrial Revolution will work, ladies and gentlemen. If I had to bring this audience together 2 years ago, just 2 years ago, it would have been impossible. Impossible. I cannot have Carla in New York attend this. I cannot have Rassi and Frida attend this all over the world, and Sharon in Austin. Can't do it. Suddenly it's possible. So what we must do, ladies and gentlemen, is we must find a niche market in the substreams of the mainstream economy where we can make a decent living for ourselves. It could be a vegetable garden. It could be the production of honey. It could be the manufacturing of clothing. It could be teaching and lecturing, woodwork. It could be any of these things, and you build a small market and you have a sustainable income going into the future. But guys and girls, you must start this as in today, because the world is not a reliable place for a sustainable career any longer. And especially the above 50s. It's a troublesome thought, ladies and gentlemen, and I've been working with this. It's a very stressful situation to be in. You know, I want to say to everybody, and those of you who know me, I'm a very transparent and honest person. I spoke to a very, very dear friend of mine the other day. He's 70 years old, and he said to me, I went to my financial advisor the other day, and he said to me, you have to die within 5 years. You're not going to make it. So we don't want to be there. The fact is, we must have an income. I hope I've answered, Lizette.
Yes, thank you very much, Peter. I don't have any more questions, Shona. I don't know if you've got, but I think we can hand over to you or to Charlotte. I think from my side, I've probably think I've addressed most of the comments and questions. Thanks, Peter. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lizette. Peter, yeah, I just want to add to the pot, just a reflection. Most recently, because of COVID, my niece, who has studied to be a medical doctor in China, found herself stranded in South Africa because of COVID. She arrived here in February to come for a best friend's wedding and was meant to graduate as a doctor in June. And unfortunately, due to COVID, she's found herself stranded. But unlike most people that believe that their profession holds them to be a medical doctor now, because that's what she studied, she went straight online and started to apply for English teaching jobs. And since COVID, she, as a medical doctor, has managed to pay her way both for her lifestyle in China and for her being stranded in South Africa by going online and being open to being a teacher, an English teacher. And that's the kind of agility that you're talking about, is literally being ready to make the shift that makes sense for you and your well-being, as and when it's required.
Yeah, Shona, there's no question. You know what? I lecture on this topic. I have workshops. I have big workshops. I write books on this topic. I wrote a few books on this topic in terms of the future. But you know what? There's no reason for us to wait until things happen. And this is why I have such a high admiration for instance, let's be practical about the now for women of stature. And if you are at all in a position, please join, because this is the future of how the world will change our lives and how we can connect to people and how we can get advice and how we can get counseling and how we can get information, share information. This is a classic example of an Industry 4 capability that suddenly serves all our best interests. So well done to them, but well done to the guys from the Zoom engineers who built the Zoom capability that we are currently using. Well done to medical doctors who suddenly, ladies and gentlemen, there's an app in South Africa, Home Doctors. You hit the app and the medical doctor come to your home because it's not easy for people to go to them anymore. Well done to these capabilities, but it's the agility of the human mind that we must now push to get a secure income and a business that works. But yeah, that's it.
And then, Peter, before we close, we've got to have some fun here, because we've had a few people asking about hairdressers into the future and massage therapists. So let's have some fun with those two vocations.
Hairdressers are the most secure job going into the future, ladies and gentlemen. It is the most secure job. You will not believe it, but on the list of automation, hairdressers are, I think they are third last. It's an unautomatable capability. So in the 4 ones, Shona, they sit in this functional enablers. Yes. It's a job that just cannot be done by machines. And what was the other one? Massage therapist. Careful for that one. Careful for that one. You can buy a massage chair now with even medical prescriptions being taken by it. So it can even do physiotherapy work on your body. So that one, I'm not so sure. Obviously, the physical side and the relationship side of these things are still important, but the functional might just be a bit under threat. But that doesn't mean, ladies and gentlemen, that those jobs will just suddenly disappear, because you will still get people that would like to rather go to a lecture room and talk to the lecturer than to be online. So it will still happen, but these things, the move is there, and we must be on top of the move.
I agree. I'm glad you mentioned that, because we did have a real estate agent saying that even though she managed to do quite a few viewings, virtual viewings of her properties, people have just all expressed how valuable it is to still physically see and
No,
meet with the,
yeah. No, absolutely. We will always have that. It'll always be there.
And then Ruben has asked if you've seen the film Wall-E. Wall-E.
No, I haven't. I must watch it then.
No, no, that'll be our homework, Ruben.
Yeah, yeah, Ruben, I'll watch it.
Okay. Thank you, Pieter. Thank you very much. I'd like to just re-extend the invitation to all of you that are still on the webinar. A very warm thank you for staying on and being part of the process. As Pieter has already mentioned, there will be a follow-up webinar, and obviously we'll write to you about it. And that's when Pieter can help you unpack a lot more of these issues. And I really encourage you to participate. Charlotte, once again, thank you very much. Your agility during lockdown has been absolutely amazing, and I commend you. I won't tell everybody your age, you can, but you are testimony of agility in the mature years. So well done, and thank you.
Thank you, Shona. Thank you so much, Pieter. I was really getting very excited, and that's why I went, yes, 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 when you spoke about hairdressers, because my youngest daughter is a hairdresser, and she's had her own business now for the past 8 years, and she's literally been without business for the past 2 months. But the mere fact that you're saying that that will never be automated is a good sign in that sense of the word. But yes, tonight was certainly well received by you. It's the highest attendance that we've had. Clearly it's the subject, but clearly it's the person presenting. You carry a tremendous amount of respect globally, Pieter. And Shona, you certainly haven't disappointed. Thank you very much. Pieter delivered well, more than I had anticipated. And from the amazing interaction in the chat box, I can see that you hit quite a few buttons and people were responding very well. I just want to say thank you to Lizette, who was in the back end managing it for us as well. It was lovely to meet you, Lizette. Wonderful to meet you and Pieter. I'm feeling so blessed, and I want to thank you all for spending this quality time with us. Thank you so much, Pieter, for speaking so graciously about women of stature. As you know, and I know, that when we get to our latter years, it's hard to adapt, but I believe that it's all in the spirit of things. If you're young at heart and you have that young spirit, the agility and the adapting to change can happen very, very easily. But one of the points that you made, which is so important, is find someone that can walk the walk with you and be with you as you're going along in life. And I've been blessed with wonderful people that I have deliberately associated myself with in order to have them alongside me, to walk this journey with me. And to me, it's all about collaboration. Collaboration is the key to success. And I think now more than ever, the collaborative spirit is the spirit that you need to consider your primary objective, to collaborate, because that's the way forward. It's been for many years, but I guess now more than ever, we have to do the collective thing, because otherwise you are going to stand still. You are going to find it difficult to move forward. So thank you so much, and bless you all. Thank you for joining us, and may you have a restful sleep tonight, and think about all the wonderful plan B's, C's and D's that we're going to be making now.
Yeah. Thanks, Charlotte. Thank you, everyone.
Good night to you all.
I see Carla waving her flag there.
Yes.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Good night, everybody.
Yes, bye-bye. Cheers, Carla. Thank you.
Bye.